In late summer of 2022, starting August 1st and getting home just before the middle of September, we did our real north camping adventure. We went across Highway 11 through northern Ontario, and then down at Nipigon we joined up with Highway 17 and went as far west as Kakabeka Falls. Then we worked our way back along the north shore of Lake Superior and the north channel of Lake Huron and back around to home. Our first video covers the first three parks we went to: Marten River Provincial Park, Kap-Kig-Iwan Provincial Park, and Rene Brunelle Provincial Park, as well as a stop at Cochrane to see the polar bear exhibit and the snowmobile museum.
Hello everybody out in the bloggy world. How's that for a start?
So we are at Rene Brunelle. This is the third park of our real north camping adventure. So we started at Marten River. We left August 1st and then we went to Kap-Kig-Iwan. Only spent a couple days there, 3 nights? Two nights there. We came,
supposed to be 3, then we swapped one night over to here.
It's supposed to be 3 nights each park up Highway 11, but Kap-Kig-Iwan was a small park, didn't have a lot to offer, so also there's a few more things we wanted to do here at Rene Brunelle, so we headed out early. Also, I guess our site at Kap-Kig-Iwan wasn't.
It was on a downhill slope, a little muddy, and they were calling for rain the day we were going to leave, and it's not sure how we would have got off our site in the rain, so we left the day early when it was nice and dry, and we got out of there without any real trouble. It's a little breezy right now, not sure how noisy those trees are on the video, but when there's no foot right there.
So we went, our first stop was Marten River, and it was fine. It was a fine park.
Don't like that part. What did we like about Marten River? It was on a river called Marten River, and we paddled our kayaks on it.
Yeah, we went kayaking. There wasn't a whole lot.
We're up in a part of the world where there isn't a whole lot.
No.
So it's lots of trees, some lakes and some rivers, a few people.
So Marten River, we went kayaking, we did some walking and biking, but there really wasn't too much. It was a nice park, but there wasn't too much going on there. It was near Temagami, so on our way to Kap-Kig-Iwan we stopped in Temagami, but unfortunately it was pretty rainy, so we didn't get to spend a lot of time there. That was kind of one of the places I really wanted to spend some time, but it's not much of a town either, so...
It was still a disappointment for you that we didn't get to. There's a fire tower, we're going to go climb the fire tower.
Yeah, but it was raining, so we didn't get to do that. And I was looking for maple butter, and I could not find maple butter anywhere, so we used to get maple butter when I was a kid on the way to the Temagami, and I was hoping to get some. Kap-Kig-Iwan, no, it was beautiful, all the falls.
Yes, there were some beautiful waterfalls, a number of them that went down a river through the rocks, and there'd be a falls and then a little bit of flat water and then another falls, and it was very nice.
It was pretty, but there was no real trail. Well, there was trails, but they weren't groomed. You wouldn't have been able to find your way in or out.
You were warned that the one was really muddy, so that shied us away from that one.
So we did what we could, and at Kap-Kig-Iwan we went into Englehart and rode around there. It was
nice. It had an old steam train and the story of how it used to run the Polar Bear Express up to Moosonee. And so that was kind of interesting if you're into trains, which I am.
And there was a great big wood.
Oh yeah. Georgia Pacific has an OSB plant, that's oriented strand board, the kind of plywood made out of wood chips. And there was a great big factory right there by the entrance to go into the road to the Provincial Park. And that was the only obvious industry in town. And it was a nice spot. The town was surprisingly well maintained, lawns were cut, houses had a coat of paint.
Yeah, and the factory, the wood factory, wood for as far as you could see. Logs
Just
everywhere. Really.
Massive piles.
So clearly that's how the town sustains itself.
Yeah.
And then here at Rene Brunelle, I mean the park's the same again, just it's on Rene Lake and it's same kind of terrain. And we got here on Saturday and my brother lives nearby, so he came over and his girlfriend Noreen, and they visited. And we went on Sunday morning to their house or his house, and
got a little visit.
Another little visit and saw where he lived. So it was nice to see him. And then yesterday we went to Capuskasing, which also is another place I really wanted to go and see. Mostly because of a Robert Munch book that I read to the kids years ago. So that was a nice day actually.
And we actually had a nice time in Kapuskasing. We had decent weather. We rode our bikes around town a bit.
Yeah, we parked at some random school in a bit of a sketch area, but we were fine. And then just rode around the town, which we like to do. Cause
we went to a fun and exciting museum.
It actually was more exciting, more interesting than I thought it would be.
Lisa was not enthused when I said, "Oh, it's free," and she goes, "Oh, lucky me."
I was hoping it would be $50 and he'd say no, thank you. But anyway, it was free, much to my demise.
Disappointment.
Yeah.
So it was inside an old train, and also in the train station. So they had some neat displays and a model railway inside the train cars and pictures about the logging history and all that.
Yeah. And it was a prisoner of war camp
during World War II.
During World War I.
One.
One? I'm pretty sure it was one.
I think you're right. I think you are right, yes. The sad thing is most of the prisoners of war aren't what you'd think. They aren't like enemy soldiers who were captured. They were civilians who lived in Ontario and maybe not too many years previous had moved here, immigrated from Germany or Poland or whatever, and they were seen as a risk to national security, so they were thrown in a prison, even though all they were doing, well, they would generally get caught doing something that was a little suspect, but they weren't, soldiers or anything. They were
but just because of their origins, they were...
Mainly because of their origins.
They were thought to maybe, being...
a security risk.
Supportive of the enemy, and so they thought it best that they just...
lock them up.
So that's where they were. So the girl at the museum was really nice, and she... luckily Doug thought to ask her where we could get some water, because here at Rene Brunelle, and also where we're going next, which is Fushimi, you can't drink the water. So
we're just pulling it straight out of the lake, and it's partially treated, but not treated enough to be safe to drink.
So there's a spot in Kapuskasing where you can fill up our tanks with potable water, and so we're going to do that. We had a nice snack of fries at Nikki's Chip Truck. Yeah.
Probably the thing that Lisa liked best about the museum was there were all these little dioramas, are they called?
The guy used they were like clay.
Done in clay, and they were all depicting life in Kapuskasing
in the olden days,
back in the early 1900s. And apparently he did the entire display, and there was something like 33 of these dioramas. He did it all in something like 10 months. And the detail, corn on the cob with the husks and the kernels, and just everything about it, facial expressions on the people. It was amazing.
The details in the clothing and different other things. So.
Yeah, it was just incredibly finely detailed, and this guy did it all in a very short period of time to prepare it for the museum.
Yeah. The other place we stopped in at was Cochrane on the way from Kap-Kig-Iwan to here. We stopped at Cochrane, and they had a polar bear exhibit. So yes, the polar bears are caged, which I think Jamie didn't care for, but it seemed
It's kind.
Seemed like a
They
nice
had
place.
a massive. They weren't caged in a 10 by 10 cage. They have acres of land. They have 3 polar bears, and each compound has fence like you'd have around a prison or whatever. It's massive, but
Because I
they're
guess they are in
huge.
prison.
Yes, they are in prison, but each of their areas is acres, and they have a lake of a good size, like quarter mile, half mile long, and different days each one of them has access to the lake, so they can go out and swim in it or just roam around the shores or whatever. So it's not like they're confined to a small space.
And so their natural habitat is about
Maybe 100 miles north of here, I think it starts.
just at the base of James Bay.
Yeah, up on James Bay. Might be a couple 100 miles, but we're getting not a long ways from polar bear country here.
No.
And
So that was nice. And they had a snowmobile museum there as well, so that was pretty interesting. We saw a lot of old
snowmobiles from my childhood.
Yeah.
And yeah, as far as the polar bear thing, it's also a research facility, so they study diet and all kinds of things to help them understand better what is happening with polar bears in the wild.
Yeah. But I think that's about it. I think tomorrow we're leaving for Fushimi, and then we move on to McLeod. And I think they're pretty much along the same line as this, so I expect very similar parks with very similar terrain, and it's going to be after Fushimi and McLeod, we're going to get to Sleeping Giant, which is really one of the highlights of the trip for me. We're going to get to Lake Superior, and those parks are said to be breathtaking, so we'll see how that goes. We knew Highway 11 would be not the highlight of the trip,
Which is why we only booked 3 nights for each of these parks and 4 nights when we get down on Superior for each park.
but certainly it's still nice. Still a nice area. We did see a bear the other day.
Yes.
From the van, thank God.
We were driving along and it was crossing the road up ahead of us.
But luckily we haven't seen any when we're on foot.
No. Wonder what the chances are between now and 5 weeks from now.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
We've read everything there is to know. We know how you're supposed to behave, and I have a whistle, so I don't know. Hopefully.
Now we know how you're supposed to behave. They always say every situation is different, so
Hopefully we just don't see one.
yeah, that'd be the easiest thing. Or if we see it, it's from a safe distance.
Yeah.
Just like the one in the car the other day. By the time we got to it, it had wandered off into the trees, and it was done with us.
Yeah. So I think that's it.
That was fun. Bye bye.